I want you to picture a specific scene. You're driving down the highway, and you pass this massive fleet of trucks.
Hmm.
I'm talking brand new cabs, shiny branding, trailers are all fully loaded. You see them everywhere. And in the yard, it's just chaotic dispatchers yelling, invoices flying out, mechanics running around.
It sounds like the absolute dream scenario for a logistics business.
Exactly. It looks like a money printing machine.
Yeah.
Success right there in front of you. But here is the paradox, and this is the baffling part that we need to unpack today.
Okay.
That same business, the one that looks so wildly successful, might be days away from total collapse.
It sounds impossible, but that's actually the default state for a lot of companies.
They could be technically profitable on every single load. The accountants are, high-fiving in the boardroom.
Right.
Yet the owner is sweating bullets because they are totally unable to pay their bills.
It happens way more often than people realize. It's that classic difference between looking rich, having high turnover, and actually having liquidity.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to explore the dangerous, often silent gap between profit and cash in the logistics and trucking industry. And to help us, we're digging into some really gritty insights from Greystride.
Greystride is a fantastic source for this specific problem. They specialize in fleet management, financial discipline.
Yeah.
Do a lot of work in the South African market, which is frankly a brutal environment for trucking.
High fuel costs, tough roads.
Oh yeah, but the physics of cash flow they describe, that applies anywhere wheels are turning.
So the goal today is to debunk this myth that busyness equals safety. Because I'll be honest, this confuses me. I come from a simplified mindset.
Yeah.
If you sell a service for $100 and it costs you $80 to provide it, you have 20. You're fine.
Right.
How can you make a profit and still go under?
It's the ultimate illusion. You see, profit is a theory. Cash is reality. And if you confuse the two, especially in an industry like trucking, you can run a profitable business straight into the ground.
Profit is a theory. Okay, that sounds like something an accountant says to get out of buying a round of drinks. But let's start there. We need to really define these terms. What is the fundamental difference, according to the source material?
Let's strip away the jargon. Profit is strictly a scorecard. It's an accounting calculation.
Okay, a scorecard.
Yeah, it looks at your rates versus your costs over a specific period, say a full financial year, and it tells you, yes, mathematically you earned more than you spent.
So it's a look back. It says, good job, you won the game.
Exactly. But here's the catch. Profit includes income that hasn't actually hit your bank account yet. It counts that invoice you sent yesterday as income even though the money isn't there.
Right. So on paper, I'm rich.
On paper, you're doing great. But cash is oxygen. It's operational. It is the fuel, literally and metaphorically, that keeps the business alive today.
It's what you have in the bank right now.
Right now. To pay for diesel, tires, drivers, insurance, and the taxman.
And the source mentions SARS specifically, the South African Revenue Service. But I guess tax authorities everywhere are the same. They don't care that you have a profitable invoice waiting. They want their money on the first of the month.
Precisely. And they have the power to shut you down if they don't get it. This is where the sync issue comes in. You can be profitable over a year. Your spreadsheet says, congratulations. But if your cash inflows and your cash outflows aren't synced up on a daily basis, the business enters cardiac arrest.
I was trying to visualize this, and the best analogy I could think of is a personal budget. Imagine you have a job that pays a massive salary, let's say $1 million a year.
Sounds fantastic. Where do I sign up?
That's a profitable life, right? But here's the catch. You only get paid that $1 million in one lump sum on December 31st. Meanwhile, your mortgage, your groceries, your bills, they all come due monthly.
Oof, I see where you're going.
By June, you are technically a millionaire on paper. You've earned $500,000. But in reality, you're starving and the lights are cut off because you have zero liquidity.
That is a perfect analogy. You are profitable for the year, but insolvent in the moment. And in trucking, insolvency stops the trucks. If the truck stops, the revenue stops, and the whole house of cards comes down.
So let's dig into why this happens. Why is there such a massive delay? It feels like if I do the work, I should get paid. And this brings us to what Greystride calls the silent strain of payment terms.
This is the mechanic that ruins so many fleets. The source calls it the timing gap.
The timing gap.
In the transport business, and honestly in a lot of B2B industries, very few customers pay you up front. You don't tap your credit card before the truck leaves the yard.
Not like buying a coffee.
No. Most businesses operate on 30, 45, or even 60-day payment terms.
And 60 days is being generous sometimes. I've heard of big corporate clients pushing that to 90 or even 120 days.
Oh, absolutely. The bigger the client, the more leverage they have. They treat their suppliers like a line of credit. So think about what that means practically. You deliver a load today, you issue an invoice. That piece of paper represents value. But you can't eat paper. It just sits in an inbox for 2 months.
But the world doesn't stop for 2 months?
No. And this is the front-loading problem. While that invoice is sitting there gathering digital dust, what has the trucking company already paid for?
Well, the job is done, so the truck has already burned the diesel.
Right. And diesel is usually cash on delivery or maybe 7-day terms if you're lucky. You've paid for that.
The driver has definitely been paid. You can't tell a driver, hey, I'll pay you in 60 days when the client pays me.
They'd walk off the job immediately, so wages are gone.
Tolls are settled right away. Maintenance costs have accrued because the tires wore down a little bit on that trip.
Exactly. All the costs tied to earning that revenue have already left your bank account. You've paid out everything, but you haven't received a cent for it yet. You are completely in the red for that job for 2 months.
That is terrifying when you visualize it. You're just bleeding cash to do the work.
It leads to this hard truth that Greystride points out, and it's something every entrepreneur needs to hear. When you agree to long payment terms, your business is essentially acting as a bank.
A bank. That seems like a stretch.
It's not a stretch at all. Think about it. You are funding your customers' operations, you are fronting the cash for them to get their goods moved, and then you're just waiting to be reimbursed.
So you're lending them the value of the transport service.
At 0% interest, usually.
That completely flips the script. We think of the big clients as having the money, but the little trucking company is actually financing the whole thing.
And that's the trap. On the surface, if you look at a fleet's turnover, their total sales, it looks incredibly healthy. The numbers are big. But that wealth is tied up in debtors. It's in accounts receivable, not in the bank.
Yeah.
And you can't buy a new set of tires with an accounts receivable slip.
No, the tire guy wants money.
And he wants it now.
This leads to something even more counterintuitive. I want to talk about the growth paradox.
Yeah.
Because my instinct, and I think most entrepreneurs' instinct, is that if cash is tight, I just need to sell more.
Right, grow your way out of the problem.
Yeah, if I'm making a small profit on one truck, surely 10 trucks will solve my cash flow issues.
And that instinct is exactly what kills businesses. It's tragic, really. The source calls this the growth paradox. In this industry, rapid growth often increases cash pressure. It doesn't relieve it.
Walk me through that, because logically, more business should mean more money coming in. It feels like 1 + 1 should equal 2.
Eventually, yes. But go back to that timing gap. Let's say you decide to double your fleet. You add 5 new trucks. What happens immediately on day 1?
Well, I have to fuel 5 more trucks. I have to insure 5 more trucks, which probably means a deposit. And I have to hire 5 more drivers and put them on payroll.
Right. Your fuel spend doubles immediately. Your payroll doubles immediately. Your working capital requirement, the cash you need just to operate, spikes instantly. But when does the revenue from those 5 new trucks actually hit your bank account?
60 days later.
Exactly. So you've just doubled your immediate expenses, but you've delayed your income. You've dug the hole twice as deep before you have any dirt to fill it with. This is what financial types call overtrading.
Wow. So growth essentially magnifies any weakness in the system.
It puts the system under extreme stress. If your financial discipline is weak with 5 trucks, you might scrape by. You could juggle some bills, talk to suppliers, maybe delay a minor repair.
It's manageable chaos.
Right. But if you try that same loose management style with 20 trucks, it becomes a nightmare.
Because the numbers are so much bigger.
The numbers are bigger, the complexity is higher. Suddenly, you aren't short $5,000, you're short $50,000. And your suppliers aren't going to be as forgiving.
The source really emphasizes this point. Going bust during a growth phase isn't usually a failure of ambition. These guys are working 18-hour days.
No, it's a gap in financial structure.
That is such an important distinction. We tend to moralize business failure like, oh, they just didn't work hard enough. But here, they worked too hard without the right support.
Precisely. They stepped on the gas pedal when the fuel tank was empty.
Now, there's another layer to this, which I found really relatable. Section 4. The trap of lumpy costs.
Lumpy costs. It's a great term, isn't it?
It is. We all love a good spreadsheet, right? And on a spreadsheet, we tend to smooth things out. We say, okay, maintenance is $500 a month. We average it.
Predictability is comforting. We want the world to be linear. But the reality of trucking, as Greystride points out, is jagged. It's irregular.
The source lists some brutal examples.
Well, think about it. Tires don't wear out exactly $100 worth per month.
Yeah.
They fail unexpectedly. You hit a pothole.
Uh-oh.
Suddenly you need to replace 2 tires right now. That's a massive spike in cost.
Or a gearbox.
A gearbox breaks without warning. That's not a monthly installment. That is a massive, immediate bill that could be tens of thousands. And then you have things like license renewals, annual insurance premiums, major services. They all arrive in lumps.
They don't care about your monthly average on the spreadsheet.
No. They are massive, immediate cash demands. So you might have a month that looks incredibly profitable on paper. You ran the loads, the rates were good, but then bang, a gearbox failure on the 28th.
And if you haven't planned for that specific lump.
That profitable month is wiped out instantly. If the cash wasn't reserved for that unexpected event, if you treated that cash as profit and, say, took it out of the business, you are suddenly scrambling.
And I imagine this creates a domino effect. You pay for the gearbox, so now you can't pay the diesel supplier.
And the diesel supplier puts you on stop supply. Now the truck can't move to earn the money to pay for the gearbox you just fixed.
That is the death spiral right there. It happens fast.
Incredibly fast. And once you're on stop supply, word gets around. Other suppliers tighten their terms. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It seems like we are painting a picture of a minefield here. It makes you wonder why anyone gets into this business. So how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 5, moving from reactive to active management.
This is the pivot point. The source describes the common mistake many busy fleets make. They manage cash by just checking the bank balance.
I think we're all guilty of bank balance management at some point. You open the banking app, you see a positive number, say $20,000, and you think, okay, great, I can buy that.
Right. It feels intuitive. I have money, therefore I can spend money. But in a business with these timing gaps, the bank balance is a liar. It tells you what you have now, not what you're already committed to paying tomorrow.
So it's reactive. It's just survival mode.
Exactly. Checking the balance is just hoping it lasts until month end. The strong fleets, they don't guess, they plan. They move to forward visibility.
Forward visibility.
It's not about what is in the bank today. It's about understanding the flow over the next 13 weeks.
13 weeks. That seems specific. Why 13?
It's a standard metric in turnaround finance, a 13-week cash flow forecast. It gives you a full quarter's visibility. It means knowing exactly what cash is coming in, not just what you invoiced, but predicting when the client actually pays.
Right, based on their history.
If client A always pays 5 days late, you put that in the plan. And on the flip side, you know what has to go out.
Critically, knowing what commitments are locked in.
Yes. So before you hire that new truck or approve that upgrade, you aren't just looking at today's balance. You're looking at the forecast for week 6 when the VAT bill hits and 3 insurance premiums are due.
You're kind of time traveling, basically.
In a way, yes. It's the difference between decision in the dark and active management. When you make a decision in the dark, like hiring a truck based on a gut feeling, you are gambling. You're betting that future you will figure it out.
And usually a future you is broke.
Eventually, yes. But when you have forecasts, you make decisions in the light. You can say, we can afford this repair, but not until next Friday when client X pays.
Or, we can take on this new contract, but we need to negotiate an upfront fuel deposit because our cash flow won't support it.
Exactly. And, it sounds like it's just about numbers, but it's psychological too. The source mentions a shift in how the business feels to the people running it.
A huge shift, I imagine.
Think about the stress of bank balance management. You wake up at 3 a.m. wondering if payroll will clear. You're dodging calls from suppliers. It's exhausting. It burns people out.
Versus the confidence of having a plan.
Exactly. When cash is managed properly, anxiety drops. Decisions are made with confidence. And crucially, your supplier relationships improve.
How so? I would think telling a supplier I can't pay you yet would hurt the relationship.
Not if you do it right. See, if you tell a supplier, I'm a bit tight, they panic.
Right.
But if you tell a supplier, looking at my forecast, I can pay you on the 15th, and then you actually pay them on the 15th, they trust you. They will cut you slack next time because they know you're in control.
That makes sense. Reliability is currency.
If you just dodge their calls because you're waiting for a miracle, you lose that trust forever. It's about professionalizing the chaos. You can survive the slow periods because you saw the clouds coming 3 weeks ago.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground. What's the big takeaway here? If our listener remembers one thing, what should it be?
The summary is this. Hard work and profit on paper are not enough. The logistics industry is littered with the carcasses of hardworking, profitable companies that simply ran out of cash.
It's tragic, really, because these aren't bad businesses. They're just structured poorly.
It is. The lesson is that the real challenge isn't effort. It's structure and visibility. You cannot outwork a bad cash flow structure.
And I liked the point the source made about guidance. This stuff sounds complicated. 13-week forecasts, liquidity ratios. It sounds like you need a CFO. But most trucking companies are small family operations.
It can be intimidating. But Greystride makes a very important point here. Needing help isn't a sign of failure. Often, a cash flow crunch is actually a sign of success.
A sign of success.
It means you've outgrown your old methods. Your business is too big to be run on gut feel and a banking app anymore.
That's a great perspective. It's growing pains, not a death sentence.
Exactly. Seeking industry-specific support people who understand that trucks break and customers pay late helps you move from firefighting to control.
And firefighting is exhausting. Control sounds much better.
And here's the so what for the listener. Why does this matter? Because profit gives you a score, but cash gives you options.
I love that. Profit is the score. Cash is the options.
Think about it. When profit translates into actual cash in the bank, the business becomes resilient. You can choose to grow. You can choose to upgrade your fleet. You can choose to weather a bad market. Without cash, you have no choices. You're just reacting to whatever crisis hits you next.
You're a passenger in your own business.
Exactly. Cash puts you back in the driver's seat.
Well, that is a powerful place to land. It really changes how you look at a passing truck on the highway, doesn't it?
It certainly changes your perspective.
Here is a final thought for you to mull over as we sign off. We talked about the dangers of growth. So ask yourself this. If your business, whatever it is, doubled in size tomorrow, would your current cash flow structure support that weight? Or would the sheer weight of your own success crush you?
That is the million-dollar question.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.